Entrepreneur Friday.
Hello, where we talk about conscious entrepreneurship. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining us. And
Yes. Good morning. All right. Yeah, where we talk about conscious entrepreneurship, where we merge consciousness and some spiritual talk with entrepreneurship. So today, do you want to introduce our topic since you kind of brought
so
it in?
today we're talking about rejection and redirection, like the no's that we get in business, the no's that we get in life, especially when you're trying to do something creative, be an entrepreneur. There's a lot of different ups and downs, but one of the things for sure that we deal with is rejection, and figuring out how do we take that and still move on to the next level. How do we keep going, and all of those things. So that's what we're going to be talking about and communing about today.
Yeah, because rejection and leads to redirection, and that's not always bad. And I think that it's really just part of trusting the process. So that is indeed what we want to talk about. And as per usual, I am going to open up with a little quote that I found. And when I think of rejection and just like it leading to redirection, I really think about just the 4 agreements, and rule number 2 of the 4 agreements is to not take anything personally. And that's something that is like a real struggle. I think that if you face rejection, you ultimately, I think the ego, the mind, your thoughts, automatically want to internalize it and take it personally. But the less you take it personally, the more that you expand ultimately. So I'm going to read this little quote about rule number 2. Don't take anything personally. So whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. All people live in their own dream, in their own mind, and in a completely different world from the one we live in. When we take something personally, we make the assumption that they know what is in our world, and we try to impose our world on their world. Even when a situation seems so personal, even if others insult you directly, it has nothing to do with you. What they say, what they do, and the opinions they give are according to the agreements they have in their own minds. Taking things personally makes you an easy prey for predators, the black magicians. They can hook you easily with one little opinion and feed you on whatever poison they want. And because you take it personally, you eat it up. But if you don't take it personally, you are immune in the middle of hell. Immunity in the middle of hell is the gift of this agreement. Boom. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just so valid because I think especially in the times that we're in, and because a lot of people are struggling, there is a lot of pessimism. There is a lot of doubt. There are people that and I think that leads to rejections that you might not necessarily expect coming your way sometimes. But it's it's really all about how you deal with that and how you navigate it. And are you creating a sense of self out of that situation or not, Because your accomplishments or what happens to you or not are basically they're not subscribing a worth to you, your worth and who you are is so much more than what you're gaining in the external world. I think we have to really come at things I'm okay and I'm good, and I'm happy with me right now. I love what I do, regardless of if I get a check for it, whether or not I don't, because when you're in that state, I think that you open up more freedom to let more opportunities come your way, and kind of wash over you.
Yeah. We totally agree. I agree that people, and also I've been, I've done this where I just have tied my worth into things that I've done, things that you're doing, right? Your worth is tied to what you do. And if it's always like that, I know one of my mentors, Melanie, she likes to say, it's personal power versus circumstantial power, right? we'll have so much power if we're like accomplishing, if we're doing things, and one thing leads to the next, but then it just dissolves if we're not constantly doing something. And if we
Exactly.
leave our power up to just our accomplishments, what are we, you know, like, so,
or who are we?
Yeah, who are we? So I love that you talked about that. And I love that you talked about just like not taking things personally. It could be hard in the moment, but really realizing that it's, yeah, I love what you said. Like, it's a reflection of that other person, like their ideas, their ideals, and the things that they think that's possible in the world. We were talking about,
right. That's key.
Yeah. What's possible in the world. Like, if they don't think it's possible for them, like, and also sometimes they just want to protect you, right? Like, it could be from family, from friends, but if they just don't have it in their psyche that it's possible, and yet you're asking for advice to that person, you know, what kind of advice are you expecting to get? So I always like to remember to, when I'm looking for advice, or like, you know, consulting with the people around me, or realizing the messages that our people are having around me, just realizing, wait, have they accomplished this thing that I'm after? You know, how well are they in that world of that? Because then why would I take their opinion? You know,
right.
if they are living, if they're living a successful life, or if they're having a successful
right.
relationship, or all of these things, then okay, you know, you have my ear, you have my word. But if you're not, but you're giving me advice on that, you know, does that really make sense? And that's
exactly.
the thing, you know, that's the thing. We go to our friends that don't have success in this thing that we're after, and then we get redirected because they're like, you know, no, you shouldn't do that. No, you shouldn't try that. So,
exactly. Yeah. And also, like, from the perspective of like, well, friends, and also like family, or just like, you know, just associates or people that we're just interacting with on the daily, I feel like people can say that, oh, like, that's not possible. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, yeah, that's not gonna, but like, that's because for them, maybe it isn't possible.
Right.
Because that's not their path and that's not their journey.
Right.
But like, it can very well be yours if right. you believe it to be, you right. know, and it's just like, so it's like, yeah, they can say that because it's not them. It's not in their world. It's not right. in their perception, but it is in yours, and it's in your path. So it's like, you have to believe it on your path, and you have to believe like your worth. You know, I think above anything external, like above any external people and opinions, and above any external circumstance. And, you know, like me and Stacey talk about each week, like really topics that we have been struggling with. And I think that for me, just like as a whole in life, not even from an entrepreneurial standpoint, but like as a whole in life, I think that it's just really important for me to always just like internally strengthen to the point where like people and opinions or haters or this or that like don't affect me and can't get to me, because I'm like at this level of not, you know, high up of not taking things personally, you know, because I think that like when you stop taking things personally at that level, like then things really start to shift and shake, because like you're just really just moving on a level of like, I am already enough. All my needs are met. I am good enough right here, right now. I have everything that I need. And regardless of if this happens or not, regardless of if this person says A, B, or C, I'm still good, you know, like, and I still believe in what I'm doing. And I know that I'm still aligned with my purpose, no matter what external circumstance might be, you know, like might be appearing as at that moment.
Can you talk about a time that you got to know, but it actually was good for you, that it wasn't good in the moment, but right. at the end, it actually was better off for you or your business?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think so I guess in the personal realm of my business, I feel like, I mean, yeah, I've received a lot of no's from people. I think that that's just, you know, the way of things, and like a part of trusting the process. But for me, like big no's or letdowns, like maybe from specific partnerships from companies that I've wanted, or maybe specific like brands that I've artistically wanted to collaborate with. You know,
Yeah.
I've gotten no's on here and there. And then, you know, when I've really like just taken a second and like looked back at those instances, I've been like, well, you know what, those brands really weren't even in alignment with what I'm doing. And it's like a lot of those brands that I reached back to way back when, you know, like aren't even, you know, aren't on the same frequency, didn't have sustainable or lasting success, or are just not where I want to move with things right now, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that when you get a no, it's also just like, is that really like the frequency that you're trying to be on? Is that where you're really trying to go? But also when no's happen, like, maybe like, I didn't get that grant I wanted, or this or that, you know, like, it's also, well, like, what lesson is this teaching me right now? And, you know, like, what takeaway can I gain from this, you know? And how can I learn to strengthen myself more, you know, to like either not take it personally, either to just keep flowing regardless of like, you know, letdowns or, you know, accomplishments or good news or success. Because, you know, like, I always hear that, you know, you're never supposed to really like internalize a compliment or
It's
a
from no's. I
critique.
love that.
Oh, sorry. Did I like talk over? I feel like.
No, that was good. It was no. I was just also he's Abdul, who's amazing. He's a barber, and he's done so well. So I is a friend of my brother's and I. So he's just like, no's are great. It's the only way to grow from no's.
It is.
Yeah, so true. You know, that is where we pick up our muscles. And hi, Carlos. So I would say, you know, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, just you end up realizing how out of alignment it was. And I think that something that I can share is that I had gotten an esthetician license after I left my big corporate job. And one of the things that I share is like, I got kind of like no's along the way of like partnership. So one of my business partnership that I was interested in like collaborating with, and, you know, as soon as I had my license, I already had a studio, but that ended up falling apart, my business relationship. So me and another girl. And, you know, in a way that was like a no or a stop or basically a redirection. And at the time, it was so hurtful. I was really devastated by not having this partnership anymore, by not having this business anymore. But at the same time, what I realized, it was so much protection. We were not aligned anymore. You know, if we continued to have that relationship, it would have just continued to be bad for both of us. So that was one part, right? So they kind of like redirected me from like, okay, I can't start this. And I actually opened up another studio spot on my own. I ended up getting pregnant and couldn't work there, like, because I got so sick. So it was just like, whoa, every time I try to like build this business, something stops me.
Right.
Build this stops me, you know? The third time I opened up a studio at home, made our office, our upstairs office into a studio spa room, took pictures, got excited. It was a year after I already had Keelan, getting ready to like independently go back on my own and, you know, welcome clients into my home. And then COVID hit. So, you know, like there's another no and stop to this thing that I kept on going after that I thought like, oh wait, this is the thing. And it's just like, stop. Yeah. So like during those stop moments, like, okay, what is it? And it's crazy because if those things didn't get stopped, I would have not stepped into my coaching now, like the way that I coached you. And also, you know, focusing more on my book, focusing more on actually what's drawn me into my purpose. So that's why we're talking so much about like, you know what, sometimes rejection, one of my girlfriends the other day said, sometimes rejection is just God's protection. Like, you know, something's protecting you over that energy. Yeah.
Into ourselves. And I think that, you know, like we've done, well, I think a huge portion of our personal journeys, like as friends, as individuals, has been a lot about our internal work and like us trying to master internal things so that the external can like, you know, align properly in the way that we want, full picture. And I think that like we don't run the short game of things. Like we don't want the short, you know, fleeting success of things. We really want long and lasting, you know, success. Like I want to be like a little old lady and still happy to be painting and doing art, you know? But like, I think that if you aren't conscious of just like, you know, your internal world and how you're growing and developing, and whether or not you're really happy in the moments, you know, in these developing moments, then I think that like you can just miss things. You can miss life, and you can just really like skip some steps, and then like in the long run, like your success might not be able to be sustainable because like you didn't take those times of redirection to be like, okay, well, what can I learn here? Okay, well, how can I go and make myself stronger so the next time something like this happens, you know, like I can stand up and I can keep getting back up. And I think something really valid about the story that you shared is the fact that like, yeah, this happened, this redirection happened, but you kept getting back up. You kept trying again, and you did it again and again. Or you took it like, oh, this seemingly bad thing happened to me, but how can I use it as my benefit, and how can I still use it to grow myself and to grow my company, regardless of what externally might be confusing, or externally you might not even understand at the moment. Because like lately I've been finding that as I've been like sitting back and meditating and thinking about my life and contemplating my life, I'm like, oh, okay, like I understand now why a lot of these things have happened.
Didn't work out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like didn't work out that you thought would have worked out or that you wanted to work out. Yeah, huge.
And it teaches me such lessons. And an example for me right now is even just like, well, just I think just the nonprofit just career world in general is a lot of outreach and a lot of no's. Like you're going to get a lot of no's, like for partnerships, for whatever you want, for donations, for whatever it might be. And in this time of my nonprofit campaign, you know, like the world is crazy. Everything's, you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. But it's like, you know, in that, are you going to walk in faith, or are you going to fold, you know? And it's like, are you going to take, you know, internalize all of the no's, or are you going to accept the good? Like I got that message today. Like I was thinking about that this morning. Like, you know, I need to really just like, yeah, these things might happen, or yeah, I might get a no here and there, but am I really accepting the good? Like, am I really accepting the good of the people that do support me, you know,
Yes.
regardless? Am I really, you know, being...
are you focused on everything that you're not getting as opposed to what you are getting and what you have? Like, are you focused on the love that you don't have, or are you focused on the love that surrounds you? Are you focused on the money that you don't have, or the abundance that's like right underneath you? Oh my God, I love this, Brett. Yeah,
exactly. And I think with that, you know, comes detachment to outcome, which is really important. Just not even like in necessarily.
Oh, tell us more about that, because that's so hard. Detachment to outcome, but it's so necessary.
Yeah, because I think that like not only in from an entrepreneurial standpoint is it necessary, but I think just in like a maintaining your own joy and happiness standpoint, it's just so necessary. Because like if you're constantly clinging to outcome, or going through those mental like loops or cycles in your mind about like, oh my God, like, you know, well, when this happens, then I can do this. Exactly. Or when I get here, then I'm going to be happy, or then I'm going to be able to do this. Or if that happens, then I can finally relax. But no, like I think we all have to realize that everything is going to be okay. And that like we are already okay right here, right now, as we are, because we are breathing, we're living, we're alive, we're in this present moment. Like all of our needs are met. We're really good. Like, so anything else that is added on is really just like, you know, it should be extra and it should be celebrated. But it's just like, and I think it is really hard. It's extremely hard to detach from outcome, especially when you know, really want something or really see it very clearly for yourself. So I think the best way to do that, to let go, is to really just like to enjoy yourself, to enjoy the people that you're
enjoying
around.
The process. And there's like part of the trust and surrender to the process, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know what? I was listening, of course, again to the law of attraction, and they were just talking about how, you know, so it's not that we're saying not to have a goal. Like you
Right.
want to have a goal, yes, or a vision of what you want possible. And what we're talking about is not like something that I say all the time is not having that thing validate who you are, right? Like not having that thing be your source. Like, oh my God, when I have that thing, then I'll be happy. I'll feel successful, all of these things, because it's one circumstance.
Yeah.
10 days later after you got that thing, it's like, okay, what's the next thing that's going to give me my purpose, my validation, my success, all of that thing. So it's like a constant, never ending cycle. But on the flip side, we're always thinking about two sides. So we're either thinking about having that thing and goal that we want, or the lack of having that thing or goal that we want. If we keep on like doing that. So it's exciting to just like have that thing, let it light you up, let it excite you. That's okay. Like having desires excite you and your goals excite you. But at the same time, being in, like you said, being present, like, you know, how can I experience joy right now? And also if you're not experiencing joy, oh my gosh, that's okay.
Yeah.
What I learned a lot was like our emotions and like what's coming up, like the sadness, the despair, the rejection, the hurt of the rejection, all of that, feeling it and having it point to something, because it's actually just pointing to something. So it's so cool to be like in tune with those things and look for where is it pointing, like what's it trying to teach you, what muscle are you trying to, you know, gain out of this. And that's what can teach you so much. Like I got one of the biggest rejections there is just a couple of days ago, actually 2 days ago. And it hurt. Like it hurt my heart because I was really excited about it.
It hurts your heart. And
it hurt. That's why I think like I'm still having some, well, I was already having like a little cough and stuff going on, but also some stuff like I was congested and I felt a lot of chest area pain.
Yeah.
And I'm still having so much chest pain. And what I learned, and also it's like I have to eat what I'm teaching, right? Because one of the things that I was like really talking about last week was trusting the process. And what I really had to reflect on was like, oh my God, how easily did I go to this thing is going to save all, it's going to save all my problems. I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to be someone so different after this thing I accomplished. So it's just like, oh, there you go. That's
but
the
am
lesson.
I happy
That's
now?
the teaching. Yeah. That, you know what, it's not for you to turn something into your source or your God. It's like remembering to come back and, you know, like feed that back into myself and find that within myself and then be able to share myself, not looking for something to complete me, but to go there and be able to share who I am.
Yeah. Cause I mean,
huge
everything we need is already within, but there are so many distractions and so much external stuff going on in the world that, you know, like it distracts us from this truth. And I feel like when you were talking about like when you like, you know, that really hurt, but this is really like causing me to have to like step back and surrender, step back and like turn in and tap into myself. And that allows, you know, it's like it's allowing versus like force. And then so it redirects you. And like we were talking about before, like in the previous weeks, like about how society is changing from hustle, hustle, hustle culture to more like fluid, to more flow, to more alignment. And it's like these experiences are kind of teaching us like to move away from that capitalistic like, oh, I have to force, I have to work, I have to go, like if I don't get this, I'm not going to be this. If I don't get this, I'm not going to have this like I'm not going to be credible in this way, or I'm not going to be viable in this way, or whatever. Like it's teaching us to be like, wait a minute, I'm already viable, I am already like certified, I'm already like, you know, great as I am now. So like anything else that, you know, comes to me will just add to my greatness, you know, that I already have. And I think that like we so often forget that because the mind just causes us to forget that. But it's like when we really step in and tap in and are present in ourselves and breathe and remember to like, you know, breathe and let that pressure go, then it's like, wait a minute. There really are no worries in this very present moment right here, right now. Like, what do I have to complain about? And what problems are there? Like all problems, you can really find solutions to if you are silent and get silent in the moment. You can figure it out. But it's just like when the mind is constantly going or people are in your ear or the world is so loud, it's hard to like realize and remember that truth and come back to yourself, you know, and come back to that self-love. For me, it's the same thing. Like when I have those moments or like the moments of like not trusting myself or doubting, you know, like the success of my companies or where it's going, I'm just like, you know, well, what do I do next? Or what am I supposed to do? Like, and you want to get angry sometimes, or it makes you like want to be angry or frustrated. But the more you like take a moment, step back and breathe, you're like, wait a minute, you can't get any more from a frequency of anger or sadness or fear or frustration. Like nothing more. Greatness is not going to come to you at that frequency. Like you can't really attract, you can't manifest at that frequency. It's like, so you have to get in a place of letting it go and just like being able to be at a place of not necessarily just celebrating when you get something, right, celebrating when you get an accomplishment or get good news, but celebrating like yourself, like as you are right here and now, regardless of like how the effort you put in, or regardless of how you have to earn it or this or that. Like I am okay now. And it's like that's what is really like what we have to shout right now, because so many things are just like coming up against us, you know, in the world. Yeah. And I think that we just have to really be like, no, like I am okay and I am completely enough where I am right now, as I am right now. Like I don't need, I mean, I can do more work, but I don't have to do more work to prove my worth, you know, like right now. And I think that when you're moving in that frequency, like in Buddhism, there's talk about it's talked about that you don't really need to get excited. Like excitement is not really necessary, because like in excitement, you aren't at a place of peace. Whereas also in letdown, you aren't at a place of peace. And it's like, you really just want to get to a place of presence where you can like accept like, all right, you know, regardless of if this A, B, or C happens, I'm good. Regardless if that happens, I'm good. Like I'm at a place of peace. Like
we can hold both. We can hold, yeah. And sometimes, you know what? It's like holding both, and you can hold both sadness and greatness at the same time. And sometimes we have to do that. Like something I like to talk about too is that sometimes we want something to fast forward. I think we talked about this before. Like,
yeah.
We want to fast forward through like the week, let's say, you know, like, oh my God, this is a horrible week. I would love to fast forward through it, or like fast forward through a season of hardship. We want to fast forward through COVID. You know, a lot of people want to do that, right? But you know what? There's so many things that we're missing that's actually great, like so much greatness that's happening, that if we actually fast forward through this time, we would be missing. And like something that I remember, like I pay attention to, is my son. Like since he's so tiny, like he grows so fast, and I'm like, dang, like if I want to fast forward this season of like, you know, wanting to change financially or whatever it is, and then like, but what if I miss all of these different things that's going on with him, you know? So sometimes everything that you want to change, like everything's going to change, not only the bad, right? Like some of the things like you'll never get back. Right. So just being present, being here and now where you are, and realizing that, yes, there may be some things that are you're wanting to change, but there's just as great things that are there and available, and holding on to those things in the meantime during your journey. Yeah. And
you know, I think the interesting thing about like our journeys, you know, as individuals and as friends, is like our, you know, redirections have always just like, I feel like really just led us to have to be by ourselves, or have to come back to ourselves on a really deep level that not, I mean, I don't know, I guess I can't really speak for anyone else's experiences.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But like, yeah, like I just think we have had some really deep internal experiences. And because of that, it's like we are now able to share with more depth and clarity, like our own, how to move through certain things, you know, because it's always so much more happening than like we can see with the eyes on the surface.
Right. What are you being prepared for? Right. What are you being prepared for? Who's preparing you for that next thing? So yeah, I'm feeling good about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last thing I was just going to say is that, you know, it's a lot about divine timing. And sometimes even if you are doing all the seemingly right things, and you are, you know, mentally in the right place, in the right frame of mind, you know, it might not happen then. But it's also just like trusting that process, trusting that timing, and absolutely like believing your worth no matter what shows up externally, you know, and how it shows up. And no
Yes.
matter what any pessimist, what any doubter, what any hater says to you along that journey. And I heard something like that the other day, like that when you do get to that point of elevation, when you do get to that level as like, you know, oh, like that, I got a rejection, but you know, I'm still gonna have an awesome day. This is great. I'm great. Like, or, you know, that this hater just like tried to hate on my whole existence, but you know, I'm still fire, you know, like when you are at that point, like, and nobody can like shake that from you. Nobody can take that from you. And like, you literally become unfuckable with, you know? And I think that that's really the goal, because I mean, I don't even know if that's a goal or that's a jumping off point. It's like, because when you're there, you know, the sky's the limit, because it's like, you're happy at your lowest, or you're happy at your highest. Like, you're at peace, you know? And I think that that's something that we could all use in such times. But yeah, I think that is all for this week. Oh, we have something new that we're going to integrate into our Fempreneur Friday schedule. But we used to do Clubhouse often and we kind of fell off. So now we're going to do a Clubhouse room the first Monday evening of each month. And we are going to talk about all things conscious entrepreneurship. So if you guys have any topics that you really want to hear us touch upon on first Mondays, let us know and we can. But we'll promote it, you know, before the first Monday comes. But it is coming up this next week, right?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the first Monday of every month, 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern time. And, you know, just to start off our Monday and start off our month and really draw in on where we can come alive, where we can step up in our businesses, how we can reflect and just get better, how we can take the no's and turn them into power and not, you know, not have it deteriorate us, but have us actually build on top of it. And I know we talked about this the other day. I know remember Roy's, his quote, it was like, using the shit as our fertilizer, basically. Like, you know what, just building on top of the bricks and just keep going. So we're in this together. It's all an evolution over a lifetime. So we would love for you to join us, and we'll of course send out some reminders about Monday too. So
yeah,
we'll see you there.
And if you want any book recommendations for us, DM us or email us. We have a book list going. It's fire. Yeah. So you want to tap in with that. And and then also, if you want to support my nonprofits campaign, the link is in my bio. Or if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the comments below. So have the best Friday.
Happy Friday. Enjoy. Friday is
all right.